Welcome to another episode of Tournament and a TeaBreak. I'm Ros Satar from Britwatch Sports.
And my name's René Denfeld of MyTennis.
And we finally had another good day of weather and indeed tennis.
Yeah, today it was forecast that way yesterday. It looked to be the day that was the best in terms of just general, in terms of weather, in terms of being playable, and no rain today. So that was incredibly important, especially considering we had two quarterfinals that had to be wrapped up on the men's side. Rafael Nadal against Diego Schwartzman, and also Juan Martín del Potro against Marin Cilic. So very important that we got through this day without any further rain delays, and I think we'll jump right into the last two men's quarterfinals so that we get those wrapped up.
Yep, absolutely. Well, first one was the resumption. Oh, actually, yeah, they both came out together, didn't they?
They started at the same time, yes.
Okay, my bad. So let's start with Diego Schwartzman and Rafael Nadal. At the conclusion, thanks to raindrops, Diego Schwartzman was sort of struggling to stay in the second set, sorry. And on the restart, Nadal just basically took command, I think, is the best way of saying it.
I agree. Schwartzman played really well yesterday. Nadal was nervous at the beginning, admitted to as much, said he just couldn't really get going. Also said that the taping of his forearms was indeed, according to him, in order to prevent his sweatbands from slipping down his arms because it was incredibly humid yesterday. Not just according to him, that's also according to us. It was a bit like a sauna yesterday and 2 days ago. So I understand that. And yes, Schwartzman was in command until the first rain delay. Then Nadal took charge, won the next 4 games before they got rained off again and delayed until earlier today. And at the end, I think Nadal won 16 of the final 20 games. So business as usual was resumed afterwards. That's the fairest way. That's without any disrespect to Diego Schwartzman, but it felt a lot more like one-way traffic today.
Yeah, and it's a shame because I think he'd come out so aggressively. He had a real good game plan, and he was also able to initially, certainly to that first rain break, capitalise on Nadal's skittishness about the weather, about the humidity. I think it's a good learning experience for him, but I think he's got a long way to go before he can really sort of take that fight to the big guys.
I think what helped Nadal incredibly, even though he completely threw that point away in his press conference, was that conditions today were different. It was dry. It was a lot warmer. His topspin, the court picked up his topspin a lot more. So his forehands and his backhands weren't really in the wheelhouse of Schwartzman anymore. They almost went up to his shoulder or to his head. So that made things a little more difficult for Schwartzman. Didn't really manage to apply the same pressure that he applied yesterday, and Nadal was looking a lot sharper as opposed to Wednesday, where he just seemed a little bit out of sorts, produced quite a number of errors, and was, as you said, quite skittish, not really locked in. And today he was locked in, and at the end made it look a lot easier today, and was the first of the remaining 2 matches to qualify for the semi-finals.
Which brings us on to the second one, which was taking considerably longer. It started with a 2-point shootout between Del Potro and Cilic. They, of course, stopped in the tiebreaker at 5-5. Del Potro fired off 2 good shots, and then from that point on, I think Cilic got a set, and then from that point on, he just seemed to run away with it. He just seemed to have the measure of Cilic, who didn't really seem to want to.
I thought it was a completely, at points, bizarre match. Both men being incredibly cranky throughout the entire after the. But already yesterday, you could tell that there was a frustration. They were both at pegging level throughout the entire first set. Actually, it almost felt a little bit like Cilic had the upper hand in a moment here or there, but at the end Del Potro quite brutally run away with the first set in just winning winning the last 2 points. And afterwards, Del Potro got angry with a spectator who shouted in between his second serve, and Del Potro hit a dreadful double fault after that, and got broken. Cilic tried to serve it out, couldn't manage to serve it out. Del Potro got broken again, and at the end Cilic wrapped up the second set 7-5. And I actually thought at that point that Cilic looked like the better player at that moment, whereas Del Potro just looked a little bit forlorn and just not really there throughout the entire third set as well. And in the third set, Del Potro was up 3-1. He actually should have been up a lot further, but at the end he had a lot of quite a number of unforced errors at the end. To me, it felt like that third set entirely slipped from his hands. I didn't quite understand his serving from the outside. Kept serving 70% or 75% to Del Potro's forehand with his first serve, which is not a logic that I can quite follow. And at the end, Del Potro just was more awake in the most important moments at the end of the third set and the fourth set. So I'm not sure how impressed I was by Del Potro today. I certainly was not quite impressed with Marin Cilic, because I felt that he could have certainly taken this one, but it just slipped away from him, especially in the third set. That one was confusing and a little bit baffling, to say the least.
What gets me, I mean, we spoke about this last night, that Del Potro is probably the popular choice. Everybody feels for him, for all the injuries that he's gone through. But the outpouring of emotion did take me by surprise. I mean, okay, in 2009 he made the semi-finals here. He would go on to win his first and indeed only Slam title. But, I don't know whether it's a culmination of everything, of winning Indian Wells and then coming here and doing well and making it this far, and it's kind of triggering some kind of thought of, what if this is my year? But I love listening to him impressed, and he's all very kind of, I'll try and do my best and we'll see, eh? But I think he's going to need to turn himself around fairly quickly.
He doesn't have a lot of time. I thought for a while that Cilic and Del Potro made it a contest not of who is going to make the semi-finals, but who is going to stay out the longest in order to make semi-finals and to be out there until 4 p.m. when they have to play again tomorrow, possibly at 3:30. So what I thought, what Del Potro's outpouring of emotion might have boiled down to was the fact that he wasn't even sure whether he was going to play here with his groin injury, and now made semi-finals. So he's got a lot of these moments where he's incredibly emotional afterwards, and as a cold-hearted German, I can most of the time I try to relate, but sometimes I'm also taken by surprise, and I'm just, he's teary-eyed again. What happened? And then you look back at it and you understand why. But I'm curious to see how he's going to pick himself up and what he can bring to the table tomorrow, because it will be. He will not get away with the with the almost sloppy patches that he had today. And Nadal, I don't think, unless he gets nervous, unless he freaks out about possible incoming rainfall, or has another slow start like he did against Schwartzman, I don't really see him allowing Del Potro that much leeway so that he could get away with bad passages.
I mean, we've said all along that we feel that there's very few people who can stop him. I think the most we're looking for is somebody to at least mount a credible challenge and make it competitive. And by competitive, we mean at least get one set off him. I mean, I've been generous and given him 2. But yeah, I think this will be a 4 or 5 setter. But ultimately, I can't see anybody other than Nadal going 3.
Yeah, I would also be. I feel it would be foolish to pick anyone other than Nadal. And obviously, since we're at it, since we're just talking about the men's semi-final tomorrow, we've got Thiem and Cecchinato coming up first at 1 p.m. on Chatrier, and then not before 3:30, Juan Martín del Potro against Rafael Nadal. So I don't think anyone is going to pick against Nadal, and I really cannot. As I said the other day, I can't pick against Thiem.
No.
I would be. the fairy tale for Cecchinato has been going on for a while, but and I'm not a betting man, even though I know other people apparently are. So I don't think I will. I would put money if I were a betting man. So I would not put money on anyone other than Dominic Thiem.
I'm just going to look for a light switch because there's a fair bit of shade in this room.
I don't see what you're getting at personally.
On to the women's semi-finals. Now, yesterday, you and Marianne felt that Muguruza was in such control, and Halep had such a... She insisted it wasn't a slow start, so let's give her the benefit of the doubt. It was the wrong tactics. It was a lot of overpressing, rushing her shots, I think is what she described it as. And she came out, and you could not accuse her of being... of rushing her shots. I mean, she was seeing the ball like a football, and Muguruza was, it wasn't that she was even particularly playing badly in my view. It's just Halep was making a run for the extra ball, was being super aggressive, was finding the lines like glue. I mean, it was an amazing first set.
I found that Halep started a lot better than anyone, I think, expected. And that includes Muguruza. And I think that's what threw her off a little bit at the beginning. I don't think Muguruza started entirely badly, but Halep was at the races from the very first ball. And afterwards, Muguruza wasn't quite that sharp. Halep was very smart in targeting Muguruza's forehand. Got a lot of unforced errors out of that side throughout the entire first set, and Halep played, in my opinion, one of the best sets that she's played in quite a while in terms of just execution in that first set, because while Muguruza didn't play great, she also had like one or two looks at getting a foot into the door, but she didn't take those one or two looks she was given. And in the second set, I thought it was a very, very good match in terms of quality. Muguruza was a lot more... she wasn't more aggressive, but she was sticking around in the rallies longer and managed to serve a whole lot better, especially at the start, and got that break advantage. But at the end, Halep managed to bite her way back into that set, and that game at 4-all proved to be crucial. And that's what I think that's what Halep said. That was the most important game of the entire match, and that's also what Muguruza said. It's like this is the game where the chips fell one way, could have fallen one way or the other, and they ended up falling Halep's way, who then ran away with Muguruza's service game to break to a 6-1, 6-4 victory. Yeah,
I mean, honestly, Muguruza had carved out a real niche for herself as the potential favourite to win the whole thing. I think this firmly puts Halep right back in the running, and she had a great line today in her press, because inevitably the questions are coming up. This is now your fourth. I mean, she's like the Andy Murray of the WTA side, where she's going to just keep going to finals and finals and finals, and she doesn't want to be that one that reaches X amount of finals and never gets over the line. But she came up with this wonderful line of, I've lost 3 and no one's died, it's okay. And it's almost like she's accepted that she might never win, which is what Murray did, and then he went on to win. So I wonder whether there's an element of, I accept that it might not happen for me, but I've achieved a lot as it is, and then maybe that frees her up. I don't know.
Yeah, that's as a pure thinking mechanism, that's something that should take pressure off of you, because you look at what you've achieved and not what you've missed out on. So I believe it's a smart way to get yourself into the right mind frame if you're in her position. Having said that, she's coming up against someone who has a fantastic record in finals, never having lost a final in her career. And Sloane Stephens is... opportunity is not something that scares or that bothers Sloane Stephens at all. She sees it as something, as to her it's a privilege. I'm not sure if opportunity and pressure can be, how big the correlation is for the individual players, but I think there is a fair bit of similarity going on there. And to her, the opportunity to play, it's a bonus, it's a privilege, it's a great thing that I'm able to do. And to her, it's not something that she gets fazed by what could be, and she never has in big moments, in the big matches or in finals. And
Well, I think because for a long time people used to criticise her for, you never won a final, you never won a final. Or you never reached the final and you never won a title. And then she did, and all of a sudden it's like opened the floodgates. But yeah, whether she cares or not, I mean, that sounds bad. But whether she gives that impression that she's like fretting over it or not, she's probably going to come out swinging completely free. Because this is a bonus.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, all of the pressure and all of the focus is going to be on Halep.
Yes.
Because in a way, Halep has more to prove, and I say prove in inverted commas. I don't think Halep feels that she's got anything to prove to anyone, but all eyes are going to be on her. If she finds herself up, I mean, God help us if she finds herself up a set and a break again. But anyway, hopefully that will. Sorry, we've got somebody opening the door. Don't block us in. So this is a tough one to call, actually, because I think it's going to be a quite evenly matched final. Hopefully it's going to be a super competitive one.
I honestly cannot call it because I know who is less faced by that Stevens is the big match player or the finals player or the person who gets going at the business end of a tournament. But I also don't know, is Halep going to be able to bring the level that she brought today? If she does, then I would have her as the slight favorite. But who knows? Who knows, quite frankly. To me, this one is a complete toss-up. It's a 50-50. And I hope it's going to be a good one. I hope we're going to see a riveting final. I mean, last year's final was riveting as well. So just with an unexpected outcome, but I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it, and I think the two best players of the tournament, taking today into account, are in the final, and that's good. I would have said before tomorrow. I would have said Muguruza was before yesterday. I would have said, or before today, I would have said Muguruza was the best player. But today, as we said, Halep played. Number one was on the line, and Simona Halep played like a number one today. Yeah. So that's something that I think she can take a lot of pride in, and hopefully take confidence out of with regards to moving forward to Saturday's final.
I agree. And then, of course, we've touched on the men's semi-finals that are going to be starting. We're almost at the business end, and hopefully we'll have a couple more extra guests joining us. But until then, I think we've pretty much covered everything we want to do for today. So you have been listening to Ros Satar
and René Denfeld.
Thank you for listening.
Goodbye.